everybody. Welcome to another episode of Like the Way You Drink. I am Tim Gillette, your one co-host, and my other partner over here is...
Greta Spoutwell, also known as Lady G.
Hey, so we're at 130 episodes. All right. We decided we would do, because we kind of took a break during the beginning of December this year. With both of us having different illnesses, we thought we'd do one more episode before Christmas. All right. Holidays. And then we'll take a break and we'll be back next year, all right, to carry on a whole new year, all right. This will be, I think, coming up on our fourth year doing these. And really, we have 130 episodes now. So this is going to be a unique episode because really we kind of threw this idea together last week. And I have the notes for what we finished yesterday still stuck to my computer. Or what we finished last week still stuck to my computer. But anyway.
Right.
It's Christmas time. All right. The show is about food. It is about drink. It's about enjoying the two. It's about finding right pairs. It's I can't really say we put ourselves into a niche or a hole on drinking or food. We kind of, I guess our enjoyment isn't the enjoyment, right? And every week we put a different enjoyment into it. So now this week here we decided to talk about what I'm doing for Christmas. I don't know what are you doing for Christmas first before I tell what I'm doing? Nothing.
No, nothing. Yeah.
You should come to Texas and have Christmas with us.
No, I'm good. I'm good without Christmas. It's okay, y'all. Not everybody does the Christmas thing.
So yeah, well, I mean, I've got family, I've got kids, I got grandkids now, and we always do festive things. It's usually built around food. All right. You know what I mean? It's not, in our house is, yeah, we have some gifts, but it's not built around the gifts. It's built around what we're going to have for dinner, what we're going to fellowship with, and hang out with our kids, our grandkids, our neighbors, our friends, our family, things like that. And I know every year, usually on Thanksgiving, we all have a turkey, but for Christmas, I'm doing a ham this year, and I'm actually I have it in the refrigerator already. I've got a recipe that I'm doing. It is called an maple orange bourbon sauce that I'm putting onto it to smoke. All right. And because of the fact that one of the things in the recipe was rare to find for me that I needed, I did not make it tonight. I made a substitute of it tonight.
Okay, yeah, which makes sense. I didn't expect you to do your dinner ham today because that's way too early, and then reheating things just does not sound good.
Well, I also, because I almost always have, and I did this with ham lunch meat though.
Oh, okay.
All right, and I did. I mean, literally, I ham lunch meat is what I did it with to show you. Sometimes you can test your recipes out, right?
Yeah. Well, see, what I did was a thick
nice thick piece. Yeah. Oh, God. Look at that piece of ham.
Yes. Look at that, how thick that is. And this is a local from Hills. So this is a local Oregon/Portland ham. So it is local. So the pig didn't travel very far. And then these are also local eggs. So it's not the most beautiful poached egg, but I did try to do a poached egg.
I love poached eggs. I really do. I think we got an egg poacher years ago. I'll bet you we've used it 4 times in the 5 years we've owned it.
Oh, really? Well, at least it's a year.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, what I realized is that originally I was going to do a bee's knees, but then I thought, you know what? I found another recipe, the Hipster Harvey, that has gin, orange juice, vanilla liqueur, and orange slice. And since there's going to be orange in my next drink, I thought, well, I definitely have to get that one. So what I did is that I did come home because I thought, well, there's stuff I have here. And then I realized that I think I left my vanilla vodka at the office. So I'm going to take a look here.
It says on the recipe, you gave me a vanilla liqueur, but you were going to use a vanilla vodka?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to. Yeah, I could have gone to vanilla liqueur, and I was going, you know what? I'm not going to be using it that much. So I figured for the amount of that it required, I thought, you know what, the vanilla vodka will be just fine because it is only a half an ounce. So I thought, vanilla. So let me see if I have it. If not, I will improvise with that. So give me 1 second while I double check my bar.
Well, that being said, all right, I have on my shelf up there in the bar here in the office. I've got I think we did something apple, and I have a green apple, green pear, liqueur that like I will probably never use again. All right,
Right.
it'll sit there. It's just like remember the schnapps, yeah, the schnapps episodes
Yes.
of 2021 when we first started.
Right.
All
Uh-huh.
right, you know, what I mean, I don't have hardly any schnapps because most schnapps are cheaply made and they produce headaches the next day. They are the
Yeah.
hangover because they're cheaply made, and we've had that discussion many times in the show. But yeah, it's like some of these cheap liqueurs, I don't keep them either because you know they
Yeah.
just you know what I mean they're not going to be um you know, that's something we're going to use on a regular basis. But like the stuff for like I'm doing the old fashioned. Why? I always have stuff in my house to make an old fashioned. With exception tonight, I didn't have maraschino cherries. I went and
Oh.
borrowed mom's dessert cherries
Ah, okay.
out of mom's refrigerator. So mom, I borrowed her because she's not home. I borrowed dessert cherries from your refrigerator. But I do have ice cubes, which I do
Okay.
have a large ice cubes. Of course, you've got to have the large ice cubes to do an old fashioned.
Right.
So my ham, though, I did take the ham. It is lunch meat ham, and I will be smoking it in my smoker for probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and probably doing it with a hickory wood. And I'm going to have this orange maple glaze that I'm going to put onto it to kind of, and it's a spiral cut ham. So it's going to put that on and then let it smoke, and that will seep in. I did something very similar at Thanksgiving as an additive, but I only used maple. I did a maple, I think a maple, brown sugar, and I don't know whether I had orange to it or not. But that made me seek a recipe out to be able to do the Christmas ham this year. And that's why I come up with this idea of what I'm doing with ham. So tonight, I just took one of my cast iron skillets. I took ham out lunch meat ham, put it in a cast iron skillet, and then I kind of soaked the ham in some maple syrup, and then I have some orange slices to go with it. So, I mean, it's kind of similar to what I'm doing, but it's not going to be because I really didn't add the bourbon to this one. All right, I just did the maple syrup, and then I fried it in the cast iron skillet for a little bit. So that what gives it the little brownish. And then here's what I did was I actually put it on the burner probably about 25 minutes before we went on, because you know how cast iron heats up, and then it'll keep that. And then after it started cooking, I turned the temperature off, put a lid onto it, and I just let it sit.
Oh, okay.
So it cooks in, because you know the cast iron is going to retain that heat and cook it in until we went live. And I just before Gladys and I went on the air, I went out and grabbed it and put it on a plate. All right, and that's how I did it. And it should give me the very similar flavors that the smoker is going to give me, but it's not the smoke. So yeah.
Very nice. So it calls for a flute glass. I put it into this little guy because I'd have to crawl up on the to get it up there. So I'm like, you know what, I can do without. So it was this one was pretty basic, nothing major. It's very simple to make. It doesn't even call for a shake, shake, shake. This one is just put it directly into the flute glass. But it's the Hipster Harvey. It's 1.5 ounces of American gin. It calls for aviation, which is also Portland based, but I use the Lady Gin from the Trail Distilling. And so 1.5 ounces, 2 ounces of orange juice. Of course, I use the Simply Orange, or you can use fresh orange juice, and then 1/2 ounce of vanilla liqueur. I used Stolichnaya, essentially Stoli vanilla. So Stoli vanilla, 1/2 ounce. And then you put it into the flute, and then you put an orange slice in there as your decor. Now, mind you, I'm not a big gin drinker, but this one is nice. It's nice. The other thing I was looking at is doing a drink with pear, because with pear, it pairs. The pear pairs very well with ham. Now, there is a lot of history, because of course there's always history and everything that we bring on the show. That's part of the fun. But there is a history. So the word ham comes from the Old English word ham, Hamm, and refers to the out or the cut of meat from the hind legs of a hog. And it's been around for many years, and it's been used for breakfast for many years, and it has a lot of historical connections. Now, the curing of the ham, this is what I found interesting. the Chinese were credited with developing the technique for curing the pork as early as 4900 BC. Then the Romans, they most likely learned the practice while they were practicing trading with the Chinese. They learned the practice of curing the ham. Now, there's a lot of people that will give the Romans the credit for curing the meats, but it was not them. Now, Catcher, the elder, wrote extensively about the salting of ham in the De Agricultura, so the agriculture, on the tomb around 160 BC. So yes, the Romans had a long time doing, but the Chinese started. And then there was also the Celtic people of mainland Europe that during the Iron Age and the Roman period, roughly 5th century BC to 5th century AD, they also did the curing of the ham. But truly, the Chinese were the ones that are credited with the curing of the ham. So if y'all were ever interested, thank the Chinese. And there's a lot of different types of ham. What Tim has and what I have, those are just a couple, but there's also prosciutto. There's Smithfield. So Smithfield is one that I almost got. I was debating it, but I went with Hills because it is local. There's Virginia ham, Kentucky ham, country ham, canned ham. So there's a lot of different hams, including Black Forest ham, honey ham, Dijon ham, Serrano ham. There's a lot of different hams. Some of them, because they're cured, they can be utilized just like that, cold, and others do have to be cooked before they are served because it just needs cooking. So there's
you notice though, Gladys, it is getting rougher and rougher to find the uncooked hams in the stores because a lot of people are doing these pre-cooked type hams.
Like if you go to Kroger, they have a delicious spiral ham there that I love to get.
That's what I have. It was a Kroger spiral we got.
Right. And so, yes, that's delicious. All you have to do is heat it up, and it's a honey ham. So it's just easy. They do have one with the bone in, and of course the one that's boneless. So you can just debate on which is your preference and make it easy, or you can buy the ham and then cook it yourself. The ham hock.
Which is what I tried to find, but I couldn't. So I bought. Now, I do get a lot of meats for special things here. There's a wild game store called Wild Fork. Wild Fork, I think it's called here in Frisco and area. They have various kinds of meats that some are wild. And like I get my venison there when I want to make a good chili, which I'm sure we're going to do in the coming year. But I went there. I think for Thanksgiving, I did go get there. My ham I got was just a small piece of ham because I knew it was an extra meat for Thanksgiving. Now the Christmas one is our main meal. So I mean, it's a huge ham we have out and I have to use clear 2 racks on the smoker to fit it in. And I was looking at a pan and everything for it. And
how many pounds is it?
I want to say it's like a 3-pounder. It's a huge ham. So, I mean, but like part of the recipe is bourbon. So, I mean, that's part of what I was like, and I'm doing an old fashioned tonight. And I wanted to talk about some of the bourbons I have on my shelf and which I would use for an old fashioned or which I would use for cooking and which I wouldn't. So let's start with the ones that I won't use for cooking. Right. Number 1, I am never using Buffalo Trace for cooking.
Oh, no.
It is too good by itself. All right. That I'm afraid to mess with it. It's like my baby. I'm afraid to mess my baby up because it tastes so good. The other one I will probably never, ever put into cooking, but I will use it in an old fashioned. And that is Angel's Envy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Angel's Envy makes a great old fashioned. Angel's Envy by itself, it is an expensive one. I don't know if I want to cook with it because, again, it's one of those that has that beautiful taste all by itself, which could lend to a good recipe, but it also could probably make you cry tears of how much money you just poured into to burn the alcohol off.
Yes, right. Exactly.
Yeah. Now, this year we did find, because of one of the local liquor stores actually shared it with us. All right. And we have some of it. And guys, if you right now look, there's a lot of advertisement for some of these specialties that Basil Hayden is doing. I have the
Yes.
basil hated toasted, which is what I made my old fashioned with tonight. All right. This is, I mean, if you see it, this has a copper ring around it. All right. They have a lot of specialties of these going on, several different flavors. All right. I'm going to tell you, if you get a chance, get some of these for the holidays, guys. This here is a special treat. All right. I know we did regular basil Hayden when we first started doing episodes. All right. But I'm going to tell you guys, get some of this toasted. All right. Have it if you just want to have it over ice or have it neat by itself with a family member. I'm telling you guys, you're going to love it, enjoy it. But I'm telling you, I mixed it in my old fashioned tonight, and it is a great old fashioned. I don't know as though I would want to cook with it though, because it is a specialty mix, a specialty taste, and just like my barbecue sauce, all right, there's certain things I'm going after in the sauce, and that toasted oak or toasted almond might affect the taste. Now, one that I enjoy drinking, this is my one that I'm going to use for cooking, and I'm going to use it in my recipe.
Okay.
I love it by itself. I will drink it by itself all day long. It is from Texas, so it gets my vote there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it also is just a plain bourbon that will make cook. I put it in my barbecue sauce sometimes, and that is our Iron Wolf. Now, most of the time I do Iron Wolf and Iron Hot, which is similar to what we have the cinnamon whiskey. But this one here is what I'm going to make the recipe for the ham with this year. So, and also it makes a great old fashioned as well. Those are my bourbons that I have. I have probably about 4 or 5 other whiskeys that aren't bourbons up on the shelf, and I almost thought about using them, but I didn't.
Well, today I will be making the old fashioned, and I'm going to be using rye.
Rye, yes.
So rye is going to be my go-to.
I have angels right up there, but this is the rye. So
yeah. There you
I
go.
can get up at a camera right there, rye. So I have both rye and regular, which I just have to say I have just an Angel's Envy. I have more than my first paycheck ever was in bourbon or Angel's Envy on my shelf. Yeah.
Oh, got it. Okay. So the other question is, are you doing a city ham or a country ham? Do you know?
I really don't know.
Okay, so there is a difference, y'all, between a city ham and a country ham. So a city ham, the hams are processed in a wet cure or brine, and then they're smoked, but not aged. The country ham, they're dry cured and aged. So they're producing a stronger flavor, a little bit saltier, a little bit drier. So if your ham is on the dry side, it's probably, and smoky, it's probably a country ham. And if it's a little bit more juicy, a little bit on the sweeter side, then it is probably a sweeter ham or the city ham. Not the sweeter ham, but the city ham. Yep. And one other piece of information that I have got to share that cannot not share is, so you all know about Apollo 13 and the mission that happened where they almost got stuck in outer space. Well, the Apollo mission, the crew managed to create a functioning CO2 filter out of duct tape and glazed ham. There was other things that they did, because I don't remember if you remember the scene in Apollo 13, the movie, that the guy comes out, the engineer comes out, and he got this bag and just poured all these things. There was a sock, and there was the manual. There's all these different things, and they said, okay, we have to fit this round tube into the square hole, using only these items here. Get to work. And so everybody's like, okay. So, and then as they're running with it, it's falling apart, but they got the procedure on how to create this filter. But ham was part of this filter. And I know it's not in the movie. They show them taking off a sock or tearing out the page, and it goes gladly of the procedure manual. It never talked about ham, but it is one thing that they used for that CO2 filter. So ham is one of those things that can be very useful. Although we talk about bacon a lot and how much we love bacon, when it comes to usefulness, I don't know that bacon would have brought the Apollo 13 crew back home. So we will credit ham being part of that.
Yeah. And one thing I've done in a smoker that's close to a ham, and then as a pork butt. Okay. And I did. I mean, yeah, because it was a thick piece of meat, and it was raw. And I want to say it was a good 10 hours of smoking that to get it to cook.
Okay.
That
Wow.
was a
Okay.
good piece of meat. I think I did that about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. Now they started. One of the things is that because the pigs, used their hind leg to rub the other leg, they figured that it would be a little bit more tender, and that's why they started to use the hind leg as an option for the for the ham, using that
Mhm.
hind quarter. Yeah. So I need to get my.
And sorry, I had to eat my piece of ham. I mean, and I have had ham and all kinds of things, guys. I very rarely have ham for breakfast. I know
Okay.
ham is a great breakfast food, but I very rarely have it for breakfast. I did, so over the past couple of weeks, I've been kind of going through the freezer, kind of cleaning things out. And one of the things I had in there was these mini sausage patties that were about this big. Well, I took two of them out, and I kind of had to play with them to get them to fit because they were small, and they both wouldn't fit on an English muffin. So I
Okay.
had to set them up to fit them on an English muffin after I cooked them, and then I put I put them in a round piece, and then I put a piece of cheddar cheese on top of it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
a little bit and
Were you
made it.
trying to make a McMuffin?
I was trying to make a sausage McMuffin with no egg.
Nice.
I have had many a times where I've had my eggs Benedict with a piece of ham.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like the tradition is Canadian bacon, but there's
Right.
different versions of it
Oh, yeah.
depending on
There's
where you
smoked
do.
salmon also that they
Oh, I've done
use.
smoked salmon. I've done crab cakes. Are you kidding? I've done all kinds of stuff when it comes to my eggs Benedict. I've had all kinds, but if I'm going to do a ham, I'm going to do a good piece of ham as opposed to a Canadian bacon. And I want a good, like yours, a good thick piece to do it with. Yeah.
So
Uh-oh.
this is, I know. And I don't think I did a really good job here, but this is to give it a little bit of smokiness where it's like fire. But, and then what you do is you go around your glass. Yes. And you can either dump it in there or not. I already have a slice in there, but this is more, I probably should have made this a little bit bigger because the whole flame is to get the oils out. And then when you squeeze it, it's supposed to go through and go inside your cocktail. So you're doing it over. So, and then of course it got the Luxardo cherries because Luxardo, hello.
The one thing that I have here, and I've yet to use it, was Gwen got me one of those smoke kits for my old fashioned.
Oh yes, and then I'm going to use a round.
I'll use a round one. So I got my square one, and you can't see it, but they have the state of Texas on the roof of them.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't look.
Mine's a little darker. I went with but I changed my simple syrup out for maple. Do you remember that time we did the maple?
Yes.
It was a maple old fashioned. I still love maple syrup in my old fashioned till this day because of that.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, that's it gives it a different flavor, and you don't necessarily need to have a cherry in there, but it definitely tastes really good in my opinion, especially if you're using Luxardo. Luxardos are very expensive, but huge difference from a Luxardo cherry to traditional cherries. I mean, if you look at traditional cherries, these are maraschino cherries, they're in a, and then you can look at these, look at that, darkness. It's just beautiful. So it's very, very different. And some of them you can get the cherries that have been infused. So that will also make it taste really good. So I
usually have some of them. I don't. And I think the first time I ever tasted them was on the show here, the infused ones that I got. And I think they call them spiked cherries or something. The first time I ever got them, my youngest stepson, Noah, actually got them for me as a Christmas gift or a birthday present or something. I'm like, ooh, those would be cool. And I think I went through them really fast.
because they're
because they
delicious.
were delicious. Yeah, they went in so many drinks,
Yeah, and
Like
this
I
time
always.
I used this little guy for that round.
Mhm,
So this came with the Pendleton Midnight along.
mhm.
That was one of the things that came together when I got it at that fundraiser. So nice and round. It's not completely clear, but it looks really pretty. And I'm going round instead of square because I have plenty of square.
Yeah, I think I have round one. I have a kit to make round ones. I have those
Okay.
rubber trays that you can pour into, and then they
Yeah.
freeze, and you just pull it apart as you need. And yeah, and I think throughout the past since we started the show, I've bought more stuff to tinker with, um, drinks and everything. So the one
Right.
thing that I have that is this spoon,
Mm.
and I had to look to find it tonight.
Oh, where was
So it
it?
was the bar drawer in our kitchen is second from the bottom. Well,
Huh?
grandson has figured out how to open up two drawers now.
Ah,
And this one here, the top, screws off.
okay.
And grandson figured out how to take it off. And I looked at that one day as he went to put in his mouth, and I had to go running to get it out of his mouth. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. We're going to move that
Oh,
spoon now.
so what's the purpose of that coming off?
I don't know. I don't think they attached it good enough, is what I think it is.
Mm.
It's not like if it was up to me, I should probably buy a metal glue and glue it in there. But what I'm afraid of doing that is that the glue,
The metal,
the
the
glue and the
chemical.
metal will affect it. All right. And drip down and get into my drink.
Right.
All right. Cause you know what I mean? See, I like it this way because it just does come apart. I may have to, if it does. I love that having the knob there to be able to twist and be able to hold it to stir. It's easier to stir when I have it there sometimes.
Right. So this drink, the Harvey Hipster is good.
Yeah.
It
What else?
is
And repeat again what was in the Harvey Hipster. I read that in there, but in the notes tonight.
right. So this one's gin. So I have a gin-based drink here, and this Harvey Hipster has the gin. It has the oh my goodness, let me think of what else is in there. The American gin, orange juice. That's why I have the orange juice here. The vanilla liqueur and an orange slice.
Okay.
So it pretty much is gin and orange juice. That's what it is. And it is okay with the ham. It is just okay. But this is honey ham. So that orange juice, and of course you got a gin that is a little bit more, it's aromatic. It's got that little bit of a more of, I don't want to use the word tart, but it does not have that same palate that goes with ham. If I had like a smoked ham, which I grabbed first and then I put it back and I decided to go with the honey, because I wasn't sure if I was going to do breakfast or if I was going to do a dinner ham, because I also have the broccoli. So I have broccoli and potatoes that go very well with ham, but I decided to go breakfast. And so the old fashioned goes a lot better with the ham.
With a dinner, dinner ham.
Yes. Yeah, I had eaten most of the orange or most of the egg here. So I think the orange clashes with the ham, but the old fashioned, it's beautiful. So if you're having anything pork, the old fashioned is going to go well. If you're having a steak, the old fashioned goes well. I mean, old fashioned goes.
When it comes to breakfast drinks, I'm kind of like in a corner on that, and I don't know why I am, but like to me, it's I'm having a mimosa, I'm having champagne, I'm having a Bloody Mary, I'm having a Bellini.
Bellini, yes, or you're adding something to your coffee.
Or I'm adding something to my coffee. I'm making a, for me, I love, as last week, I love adding Sambuca to my coffee. Yeah.
So it all depends on your preference. I would never have an old fashioned for breakfast. Absolutely not. That's way too strong in my opinion for breakfast. A Bloody Mary, it doesn't seem that strong because you have a lot of tomato juice in there. You have 1.5 ounces, maybe 2 ounces of either vodka or tequila, depending if you're having a Bloody Mary or Bloody Maria. But it's mainly all the other spices in there and then the tomato juice. that makes it for
To
breakfast.
me, it's all the other stuff you put into a Bloody Mary, which we've had, I think, a dozen times on this show. And to me, a Bloody Mary is not just the alcohol; it's the right kind of tomato juice. It's the, you know what I mean. It's having things like, you know what I mean, having celery into it. I like to have a pickle. I like to have a pepper in. I like to have a olives. You know what I mean. I like almost like a salad in my freaking Bloody Mary.
Yes, that was my thing for pre-COVID. If they had, I wanted to have like a meal with my Bloody Mary. So there was one that had a lobster claw, another one that had shrimp, another one that had the cheese. It was like a caprese salad that was with cheese on top of the Bloody Mary. You know, I've had some that had bacon in it, slider. Those are always fun, you know, because you're having a meal with your Bloody Mary, which always makes it fun. So having breakfast and a Bloody Mary, it just goes so well. It tastes so yummy. That tomato juice, if you're having good tomato juice, it really makes a difference than if you're just having just, you know, some generic, you know, out of the store. I've had it. I personally have made it with just some generic and it does not taste the same. And when I have a good either tomato juice or a good Bloody Mary mix, it makes a world of difference on how good that Bloody Mary is going to taste.
Again, all right. If we would only get the people back from Mary's Mixers,
right?
Just saying, Mary's Mixers, we miss you. They were fabulous, and man, gosh, I went through both the spicy and the regular so fast, and it's not available here in Texas, so the guy shipped it down to here to meet it. But anyway, they were a great additive to our show.
I can't even find it here anymore. I've seen some sparingly, a few items out on the shelf. I'm not seeing him anymore. I know he moved out of Oregon. So I don't know. I think he went to Colorado, and I don't know if he continued on with Mary's Mixers, if they're still a thing or not. But that was the last I knew. It was like all of a sudden he was gone, and I'm like, oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
When you find something that good.
Well, I mean, what's going to end up happening is, all right, I'm not a cook, right? Cooking is not for me, but this show helped me certain things I want to cook and certain things I want to make. All right. And that's what this show inspired me to do, us doing this show. I have been big about doing my barbecue sauce and my ribs. Right. And then because moving up here, I actually got a smoker. All right. Doing things in a smoker. Yeah. Which changed my thing on cooking. I have learned to make my own barbecue sauce. And let me tell you, as much as I love Famous Dave and I love your sauces, Dave. All right. And I'm friends with him on Facebook. Dave, I love your sauces, but mine are better. I want to learn how to make my own ketchup, how to make my own salsa. All right. Maybe learn how to make my own Bloody Mary mix. You know, I'm still learning gardening here with the new house and trying to get gardening down because we really, the last 2 years, we have failed at tomatoes. All right. We need to build a climbing station for our tomatoes, but I want to take my own tomatoes out of my own garden and make my own sauces.
I will tell you, the tomatoes make the salsa because I have a salsa recipe that I make and it's good. And I've gotten a lot of compliments on it. One year, one of my neighbors, she had a ton of tomatoes. So she brought me, like, she goes, I have all these tomatoes. And I'm like, okay. And so I'm thinking, and I love tomatoes, but I knew they weren't going to hold. So I decided to make salsa. The best salsa I had ever made. And I'm like, what is different? It's the same recipe that I follow, you know? And then I realized
it's the tomatoes.
The tomatoes.
Yeah.
Homegrown, deliciously sweet made a huge difference.
Well, I mean, and then, like, you know what I mean? As we move forward this show, all right, I'm trying to move on making more things on my own property. Like, all right, if I have eggs, they're my chickens that made the eggs. I don't buy eggs anymore. My chickens make the eggs, right? That's done on the property. The garden is the thing that Gwen and I have struggled with. We did very, very well when we lived on the lake. We had everything in pots. We did very well. We did in a one-bedroom condo. We had everything in pots. When we tried to go to actual ground, we have failed at this now, I think, 5 years running. We're still learning this.
Yeah, it's still like here. You here in Oregon, we have a lot of clay. So
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you have clay or when you have dryness, there's the demographics, if you will, of your soil make a huge difference on what you can and cannot grow. So when you're in certain areas like Oregon or even Texas, because Texas is so dry,
yeah,
you
yeah.
have to do so much more to your ground. You have to add, so much more nutrients. You have to really do a lot of tilling on it. So that's one thing that, even though I'm not a gardener because I kill whatever I touch, but I have learned, I've been around people that know about this stuff. I'm part of the Oregon State Gardeners Association. How I got to be part of that, I have no idea, but I'm part of it. So I get tips and information. So sometimes I learn because I'm a learner. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I don't know that I can keep up to this because I'm not a gardener. I don't enjoy it. It's not my thing. Plus, I kill it whatever I touch. But those are things that I've learned. And so sometimes it's going back to maybe doing pots, in or putting the pots low to the ground to where you have that ability to have more control over your soil versus what you have, or adding it's look at when you normally would have a pot, you would buy your soil. So do the same thing, get your soil and just put it into your ground. The whole purpose is to use your ground, but if your ground does not have the
No, all
nutrients,
mine are. No, I went to all this past 2 years. I went to all raised beds, so everything
okay,
that's in is all soil I've created
okay,
with my leftovers. Like I've used my
ah,
scraps
okay,
to create, and I'm like,
ah,
there's very few raw soil, and I've bought worms to put in there. All
okay,
right, everything, and it's just. I think the problem this year is we have tomatoes that grow everywhere. We have to build a we
a
have to build an
trellis,
arch between the two beds
okay,
and then put the tomatoes on that line so they grow up the arch.
okay,
All right. But tomatoes, I will tell you this. My biggest problem is when I get a tomato is half the time it doesn't make it back to the house. I take the little water pot I have and I
well,
rinse it and I'm eating it on the way back to the house. But the other thing I'm good at growing there is peppers.
okay,
Really good at peppers. This year, though, one thing that we didn't plant, but we got was left over from last year was cantaloupe. We had
oh,
cantaloupe from last year just left in. And I only have 2 raised beds, but I'm going to add 2 raised beds in the next year.
okay,
And I'm going to, and I'm going to do other things to grow. I'm actually going to put a greenhouse in eventually.
okay,
All right. But it's an education because of the fact that here's what I know about myself. And in the next couple of years, I want to retire. When I retire, I'm not going to sit on my rocking chair, and do nothing. I'm going
right,
to want to raise my own foods. I'm going to want to do things. My grandfather, I think, till the day he died, was crawling out to his garden to do things. That's me.
nice.
No.
I know one of my friends in California, Southern California, she has a little composting area, and all the plants around the composting area, oh my goodness, they're just thriving.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have a greenhouse, so they have all sorts of plants, so it's kind of fun. You're going to love that. But yeah, having the composting will make a huge difference with your soil because it's so pure. All the nutrients are in there. You're just putting it right back.
Yeah.
So you'll see next year.
Next year. Yeah. Each year I'm getting better at it. So yeah, that's the thing.
Good.
So,
Good.
I mean, just like this show, each episode is getting better and better because we're learning things as we go along. And
Yes.
hey, we may not be the fanciest whiskey or bourbon podcast, but I'll tell you what, we do enjoy what we do.
Yes, and we love bringing that information to y'all. So hopefully, thank you all for being here for these last few years, being with us and enjoying the recipes that we share with you. The bee's knees, which was one that I was going to make, did not make. Again, it's calls for gin, lemon juice, and clover honey syrup. So 1.5 ounces of gin, 0.75 ounces of lemon juice, and 0.75 ounces of honey syrup. Put it in a shaker, shake, 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 and then put it into a martini glass, and then you garnish with a lemon peel.
I did notice that was a 3-ingredient drink. That's something we should do in the future, like a 2-ingredient and a 3-ingredient drinks.
Right?
And be creative in doing it. But I noticed that when there was a 3-ingredient drink, and I thought you were going to do that one. But when you told me before we went live, we're going to do the Hipster Hardware, I'm like, that's the one I like. All right. I didn't do, but that's the one I actually, if I had the vanilla, I probably would have tried it. And I don't have orange juice.
I'm telling you, it's good. It just did not go as well with my ham. And then, of course, my cousin's name is Hugo, so I had to throw the Hugo's Martini as an option. Gin, dry vermouth, orange bitters, and lemon peel. You combine everything in a glass with ice, stir, then strain into a chilled martini glass, and you garnish with the lemon peel. So that one I thought was kind of fun. It will definitely, I think that the Lady Gin would be great in that because it is all about the gin. That's what martinis are about, is whatever alcohol you're putting in there.
Well, I mean, the Lady Gin. All right, let's tell them where they can get that, though. I mean, that is
Got to be part of the Insiders Club. Because if you are not part of the Insiders Club, guess what? There's very few bottles of that. And so very few people have asked for it because we let them know when it first came out. And I think they forgot about it. But it is only the Insiders Club. So go to likethewayyoudrink.com and join the Insiders Club. You do have to be 21 or over because we cannot be talking to you about alcohol if you are not of legal drinking age. So it is free to join. If there are items that you want or events that you want to participate in, I mentioned it, I think it was last week, where we had the opportunity to go bottle the liqueur at Trail Distilling. That was a lot of fun. If you want to have your hand in making the whiskey mash, guess what? Opportunity to do that. We have a standing invitation for that. So we just have to let them know and they will accommodate us, whether it's making the mash or whether it's barreling or bottling. So we have that opportunity. So go to likethewayyoudrink.com and join the Insiders Club for free.
Yep. So, I mean, there's something I want to talk about tonight so people know. All right. We're not broadcasting at as many locations anymore. And here's why. StreamYard has decided to raise their prices, drastically raise their prices. So I stepped down a level on StreamYard so we can only broadcast to 3 locations, and then Gladys gets to add a 4th. So we are broadcasting now to Like the Way You Drink's Facebook and YouTube channel, and then Gladys and I's personal pages. That's all we're able to broadcast to live. So, guys, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? We just can't broadcast to 10 locations anymore. It's just not. We had to cut our budget back. All right. If you join the Insiders Club, buy some stuff from us, then we'll be able to afford to step back up.
That's right. Because guess who pays for all of this? Your 2 sponsors.
The 2 people you're looking at, ladies and gentlemen.
Or listening to.
Or listening to, if you're listening to the audio version of our podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. We still tell you go to Facebook, YouTube, because you get to see all the fun stuff and the colors. And as much as we try to be descriptive, there's nothing more descriptive than actual video or a picture. So I am Gladys Boutwell, one of your co-hosts here. I am with Insurance by Design, helping employers become employer of choice through providing benefits. If you would like more information on, well, what does that look like? Well, if you go to insurancedesignpros.com, on the upper left-hand corner, you will see a button where you can get the white paper on the 101 different ways that you can provide benefits. And it could be for all budgets, from free to very expensive, and then everything in between. But if you are ready to have the conversation and find out, hey, this is what my budget is, what can I do? Then go to enrollnoworegon.com, get on my calendar. That's Gladys Boutwell with Insurance by Design. And this is my co-host.
Hey guys, my name is Tim Gillette, and I'm the founder of Simple Easy Marketing and the company called Simple Easy Websites. We decided in 2023 to create an affordable solution for you to build your website. One of the things that we tell you your website should do is it needs to be generating leads. And every year, right now, it's getting close to the end of the year. This is our last broadcast of 2024. 2025 is about to start. And if your lead generation tool has not worked, you need to build some new ones. I believe with your website, you should have at least 7 different lead generating things that bring in new leads to you. 7, ladies and gentlemen. All right. And one of the things we work with on your website is using your website to generate leads for your business. 7 different ways. You got to have it. We're actually going to create a new one for 2025 ourselves, because if we're not doing it, we can't tell our customers they need to do it. So that's why we decided we're going to create a new one and find ways to create leads for your business. Now, we have 3 different plans for you to help you out. Number 1, we have the growth plan. We have the first to start is we have the starter plan. If you don't have anything online, get with us, build a starter website, get going. Next is the growth plan. If you have something that's just not growing, you don't have enough leads coming in, get with our growth plan. And number 3, we have the professional plan. All right. That means somebody who's putting this thing in high gear and they're making money, just like Gladys. She has a professional website. She has it there to generate leads, all right, and build her business. That's what it's designed to do with a professional plan. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, simpleeasywebsites.com. Book a consultation with our people or take our website review quiz and find out just how you think your website is doing. We'll be honest with you. All right. In the quiz, you don't have to share it with us. You just take the quiz and it'll tell you, oh man, I need to book a call, or oh man, I need to fix this. simpleeasywebsites.com. Other than that, what do we got else? What do we got? Anything else?
That's it. We're going to see you next year. Enjoy this time. Hopefully you all get some time off. I'm hoping to be able to take some time off myself. I don't know. My boss is, can be a slave driver sometimes, and, she makes me work. So.
Yeah, I've met that girl.
I know. She's the worst, as my friend Kurt says, the worst.
Hey, but I've hung out with her outside of work, and she's pretty cool outside of work. I'm just saying.
I know. Sometimes when you can get her to step away from work, she can, let her hair down and enjoy life. The problem is she's constantly on the go, go, go. It takes her a second to step away. And in case you all think it's like, who the heck is her boss? I'm my own boss, y'all.
We are both our own bosses, and we both work for, shall we say it, jerk bosses.
Slave driver is one of my friends.
Slave driver, yeah, that's our bosses, and we are our boss.
We are our worst critic. We will push ourselves because if we do not do the things, nobody else is going to do them for us. So that is one tip that I will give, is do the things that nobody else is willing to do. And guess what? All it takes is 15% more than everybody else, and you're going to be a superstar. So just do that little bit more, even though you don't feel like it, because there's many a times that, guess what? We don't feel like it, and we still do it because we know it's the right thing to do for our clients. So to be successful, just do the thing.
Yeah. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap up 2024 right here, right now. All right. We're going to wish you cheers, ladies and gentlemen. Celebrate the new year. All right. With style. And we will see you guys in 2025. God bless.
Cheers, y'all.